This is Kenny with Just the Right Angle coming at you with a real quick broadcast on Friday. I apologize for not making broadcasts earlier. I have actually been a little under the weather in addition to being busy with a bunch of other things. But I am here now to talk about some very important issues that are coming up. A lot of things have happened. Big news, of course, the government shut down. I have mixed feelings about it. I think if it had been shut down a little bit longer, a lot of more illegals that are on our SNAP program would have been vetted out, along with a lot of other deadbeats. There's lots of aspects of our government that need to be permanently shut down. A lot of departments that need to never have existed in the first place. That's it. Big news in the Arkansas Supreme Court. Sarah Huckabee Sanders lost yet another court case regarding the special election in Franklin County. So those are some big things, but those are kind of out of the way. I wanted to give one update about a story that I should have talked about before, and that is Aaron Spencer. There's been a lot of back and forth regarding this. I'm gonna play this little clip while I take a little drink of water, and then show the THV11 news reel, and then talk a little bit about this case. And I'll play this here.
With new information in the case of Aaron Spencer. Hello, and thanks for joining us here at 6. I'm Faith Woodard.
And I'm Brooke Buckner. The case has received national attention since his arrest last year, and that continued after he announced he would be running for sheriff in Lonoke County last month. Spencer is accused of killing a man who at the time faced more than 40 child sex crime charges involving his 14-year-old daughter. He argues he was protecting her and pleaded not guilty. He has the support of more than 360,000 in a petition backing his actions.
Now, according to his attorney, he is running in hopes of bringing to light the failures in the system, but if he's convicted, he won't be able to serve. Tonight, THV11's Carter Thweet gets us up to speed on how the case is unfolding.
Prosecutors attempting to paint a picture that Aaron Spencer planned to kill 67-year-old Michael Fossler even before he found Fossler with his 14-year-old daughter on October 8th, 2024. That theory emerged in a legal brief late last week. His defense says his actions before the shooting aren't relevant. The state says they are, and included several new details in their reasoning. Prosecutors highlighted Spencer's conduct 3 months before the killing. Prior to Fossler's arrest in July on more than 40 charges and counts, the state says Spencer asked an acquaintance of Fossler's for the man's address. He allegedly told that person, quote, "Don't call anyone. Don't call the police." But word did get out, and as investigators looked into the rape, 2 Lonoke County sheriff's officers showed up to Spencer's home. A transcript of their conversation recorded by body cam in July is in the state's filing. Spencer questions how much prison time Fossler might face. He asks the officers, what's going to happen? 3 to 5? He's rolling around, cruising, grooming? He then refers to another child abuser and says, quote, "He's going to get back out, isn't he?" Indicating his belief that the same would happen with Fossler. One of the deputies warned Spencer, saying, "We don't live in a country where you can take the law into your own hands." Spencer responds with an expletive. The prosecution saying all of this proves Spencer had an intent to kill, saying, quote, "His understandable rage did not give him the legal right to kill Fossler." Ultimately, that'll be up to a jury in a trial for second-degree murder set for January 26th of next year.
Thank you, Carter. THV11 has reached out to Spencer's attorneys for a statement in response to the state's filing, but we have not heard back yet. If Spencer is able to run, he will look to unseat current Lonoke County Sheriff John Staley, who is running for another term. That election date is set for November 3rd of next year.
So here's the deal with that. And I'm going to show you Aaron Spencer's, I'm going to show actually the broadcast, the thing to read regarding this. This may not have the same video, and it may, or maybe it has the video here. It has some of the details. They're trying to say that because Aaron Spencer was angry with how the failure of the legal system was failing to do its job, that somehow it makes his actions unjustified. The real question, which should have been asked and answered, is why isn't the prosecuting system in Lonoke County being investigated for their failures? Okay, this guy, remember, for those who don't know, this guy had to catch the one that was attacking his daughter Here it is. He had to ram Foster's truck into a ditch and then shoot him with a pistol, striking him 15 times, and then beat him before calling 911. That is not something that's planned. Okay? This is a stupid to try to say that he somehow set this guy up. Like he used his daughter as bait and got his daughter to get into this Foster guy's truck. And here's the problem right here. This coward right here, Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Johnny Huggins. I don't know if somebody's running against him or what can be done to remove this guy. This is the guy that should be in jail for failure to adhere to the law, for endangering people. But notice, remember, all of your television media is run by people who want to take away your guns, who are just as leftist as George Soros, but they put on a nonpartisan face. And so they're instead of focusing on the failures of this guy, they're trying to bring up, they're trying to do, basically a press run for the prosecutors regarding Aaron Spencer. They reached out to Aaron Spencer's attorney. Now, they did mention the multiple times that Foster, actually, I think it's Foster. I think that may be a typo there on THV 11s. On the multiple times he'd been arrested. And I think this is where Aaron Spencer announced that he's running for, no, I think that's the video we just saw. But he has a video where announced that he's running for sheriff. Yeah, this guy should absolutely be sheriff, and the current sheriff needs to be removed, and certainly the prosecuting attorney needs to be removed. But you notice they did this right after the election because they're worried this guy's going to win. And so the prosecutors are trying to sabotage this guy's campaign, and B, try to throw him in jail. Same thing Sarah Huckabee Sanders is doing to Colonel Conrad Reynolds, trying to stop them from ever being a candidate for office because they are a threat to the status quo. And understand right now, on paper, we are a Republican supermajority, but the state of Arkansas is not a Republican state. It is basically a dictatorship, or you could call it a crony capitalist dictatorship. Hello, I don't know. Hi, Siri Larob. You said something about Fosler. I don't know who Fosler is. Yeah, if you have any comments, sign in the chat. As I said before, get a Rumble account. Rumble is the best website in terms of videography and live streaming. It is a great alternative to YouTube, which shadow bans a lot of folks. I do have a YouTube account, but I've had to move to Rumble because YouTube kept moving the goalposts in terms of how to make money, that sort of thing. And I've posted this on Twitter X, a lot of other places. Let me go back to Aaron Spencer's website here. Sorry if I bounce around a little bit. Okay, share this tab instead. This is his This is his Twitter account. According to him, well, this is another guy. Rape. This guy was charged with rape or sexually assaulting a child and was walking away in 30 minutes. And this is November 7th, and this is another guy. How fast when a pizza delivery. There's where he is filing. Oh, this is his campaign video. I'll play this in a little bit. I'm going to have to go on a little bit of a break, but I'm going to play this. Actually, you know what? Let me play this. This is only a minute. I can play this now.
Hello, Lone Oak. My name is Aaron Spencer. Many of you know my story. I'm the father who acted to protect his daughter when the system failed. I'm also a husband, a combat veteran of the 82nd Airborne Division, a contractor, and a farmer. And through my own fight for justice, I have seen firsthand the failures in law enforcement and in our circuit court. And I refuse.
Oh, I'm sorry. I shut the screen. I don't know why I did that.
Refuse to stand by while others face these same failures. That's why I'm announcing my candidacy to run for Lonoke County Sheriff. This campaign isn't about me. It's about every parent, every neighbor, every family who deserves to feel safe in their homes and safe in their community. It's about restoring trust.
You're
where
right,
neighbors
Courtney.
know law enforcement is on their side, and families know that they will not be left alone in a moment of need. Together, we can build a safer, stronger Lonoke County for every family. I'm Aaron Spencer, and I'm running for sheriff of Lonoke County.
And that's it. So, folks, that's the update on that. Always remember, when you see something on TV, you got to get the other side, what I call the right angle. The TV media has greatly failed its audience. It has failed it for a lot of things. And one of the things it has failed its audience in is the special election tax increases that are coming up November 18th. Now, there were at least 12 of them that are on this list, and Conduit News has posted this as well. But I actually, my wife just found another one that is not on this list. So I'm going to go through this list again, go through some of the organizations that are fighting these, and then list the one just breaking, because my wife literally found it last night, another tax increase that I just did not know about. And we'll go over these, go over what to do regarding and how to defeat these tax increases. Because, of course, if you talk about a problem and don't have a way to solve it, you're wasting your time. But these are going. We were supposed to have banned special election tax increases last session. You'll sometimes hear that in campaigns. David Ray was the one who pushed the bill for that. It turned out that that was actually not correct. We did not actually ban tax increases. We reduced them, and we reduced them to May and November, but May and November of every year, including off-election years. And so a lot of people have no idea that there's a tax increase going on within their neck of the woods. And so Conduit News, I went and found this list from Kristen Higgins. I talked about this in an earlier broadcast. Conduit News posted this article a few days later showing the list. I'm glad they did. This originally was done by Kristen Higgins, so full credit to her, and of course credit and thank again. She did this to September 30th. I found the list not too long after, did a video on it. I actually informed Kristen Higgins of 2 more tax increases, one in Cleveland County and one in the Star City School District. And then Conduit News posted this a few days after that to let other people know. So here we go. I'll go through these real quick. Calhoun County, 1% sales tax increase. Marion County, 0.5% sales tax increase. The city of Bella Vista. The city of Conway, that's over there in Faulkner County. This is some kind of behemoth. I don't look at all that. I'm not going to read all that. It's a 0.75% tax increase. Little town of Greenland. I don't even know where this place is. If they want, there's a section that's whether or not they want to be annexed into city limits. Generally speaking, you should be no. Ozark has some kind of possible places for folks to get drunk and start fights district, aka entertainment. Sherwood, this is a big tax fight. There's a big fight there against that. It's this 0.75% sales tax. Texarkana, where the bandit had to do his beer run from. 5 millage rate increase. I'll talk a little bit more about millage rates as well. Arkadelphia School District, millage rate increase of 3 mills. Cleveland County, 6 mills. Lee County, let's see, an increase of 15.7 mills. Yeah. Nettleton School District, an increase of 4.8 mills. Pocahontas, 2.95 mills. Star City School District, increase of 5 mills. And yes, there is another one. I'll talk to it about it in a little bit. What I'm going to do is take a real quick break. I actually need to take care of some other business, but I'm going to play this for y'all so that you can listen to this for a little bit, and then I'll talk about some of the groups fighting this, and then we'll call it. We'll just call it a broadcast for the day.
Thomas Sowell in his new booklet, quote, "At various times and places, particular individuals have argued that existing tax rates are so high that the government would collect more tax revenues if it lowered those tax rates." Close quote. Explain that argument.
Oh, the argument is based on the belief that people will change their behavior as you change the tax rates. Those on the left often act as if human beings are just like inert blocks of wood, or like chess pieces that you can move around on the chessboard to put wherever you want to carry out some grand design. But of course, people react to these things. Now, it's a theory, it's a hypothesis, and you could test it. Almost never is it tested. People instead say, "Oh, you just want to give tax cuts to the rich."
Right. Now, you note in this booklet, brief as it is, you cover a lot of ground here. You write about various times and places people have advocated this, and you note several in particular. Republican Treasury Secretary Andrew Mellon argued for lower tax rates in the 20s. Democratic President John Kennedy argues for cuts in the tax rates in the 1960s. Republican President Ronald Reagan, lower tax rates in the 80s, and then George W. Bush lowers tax rates once again in the 2000s. 4 experiments, as it were, one by a Democrat. In each of those 4 cases, what was the effect on the economy?
The effect on the economy was to increase the rate of growth, increase the revenue received by the government. The rich not only paid more taxes after the tax cuts for the rich, as they call it, they paid a higher percentage of all taxes. And this started back in the 1920s. In the early 20s, the tax rate on the top income was 73%. The people making over $100,000 paid something like 30% of all taxes. By the end of the decade, the tax rate on the top had been cut to 24%. People making over 100,000 now paid 65% of all taxes. And the reason is quite simple, that when you have the tax rate at 73%, people simply don't pay it. They put their money into tax-exempt securities and arrange their financial affairs. So what we're really talking about, do you want a symbolic high tax rate on the high-income people to win votes politically, which the rich themselves are not going to pay? Or do you really want more tax revenue coming into the government?
So the argument you say it's an empirical matter. It can be tested. It has been tested.
It has been
4 different times, and it always worked.
That's right.
All right. In Trickle-Down Theory and Tax Cuts for the Rich, you quote such liberal heroes, progressive heroes as Woodrow Wilson and John Maynard Keynes on the importance of keeping tax rates modest. The Keynes quotation is especially striking. Quote, John Maynard Keynes, "Taxation may be so high as to defeat its object. A reduction of taxation will run a better chance than an increase of balancing the budget." Close quote. Then you, Tom Sowell, write, "At this point, there was not yet a sharp partisan difference on lowering high tax rates." Close quote. When did this sharp partisan difference emerge? What happened?
In the second half of the 20th century.
And on account of what?
I guess over time, the Democrats moved further and further left. And so you had in the party only those people who thought it was wonderful to raise tax rates on high-income people.
Trickle down and millionaires. Now, the attack on this theory, which has been tested and shown to work. President Obama in December of last year, "The market will take care of everything, they tell us. Jobs and prosperity will eventually trickle down to everyone else." In April of this year, during the Bush years, the wealthy got wealthier, but prosperity sure didn't trickle down. In July, this past summer, Barack Obama, "We've tried it their way. It didn't work. We were told that prosperity would start at the top and then trickle down." Close quote. Where does this phrase "trickle down" come from?
Oh, I don't know. It was as far back as the Roosevelt administration. There is absolutely, it is an incredible thing. There is a non-existent theory that is constantly being attacked. Insane to see that argument. Came up with a single person.
Obama says in this past July, quote, "We were told that prosperity."
Ask him who told him.
Nobody told him.
No
economist has ever held that. No politician has ever said it.
I don't know of anybody who's ever said it. In fact, when I put this out, and I went out a nationally syndicated column. Various people wrote me and said, well, so-and-so said that, so-and-so said it. But find me the person who said it. I don't want to hear how A said that B said it. Find me B and show me where he said it. And that was years ago. Not one example has been offered.
All right. So trickle-down economics is not a political theory. It is a political, I beg your pardon, it's not an economic theory. It is a political hack phrase used.
It's a caricature.
Caricature.
Yeah. In other words, the argument really is not that you should put more money in the hands of the wealthy. It's also part of a zero-sum conception of the economy. There's the thought that if you cut the tax rates on the rich, why then there'll be less taxes for the government, or you'll have to raise the taxes on other people to make up the difference, or cut programs and so forth. So that I hear all the time. It drives me crazy.
So what about this notion, George Bush, it was a giveaway that George Bush cut taxes on the rich, and if he had not done that, the budget would be much closer to balance. He was just giving it away. It was pointless. The sheer pointless.
Yes, but in the paper, I point out where the New York Times itself says, there's been an unexpectedly large increase in tax revenues from the wealth corporations, which has reduced the projected budget. And the question, yes, expectations are in the eyes of the beholder.
Unexpected by the New York Times.
Unexpected by the New York Times, exactly. But that's exactly what people have been expecting for more, at that point, 3/4 of a century, and which has been happening, and the New York Times just chose not to understand it.
Okay, folks, sorry, I'm not sure what happened. The system just kind of froze here. It's not Foster, it's Fosler. Oh. Okay. I don't know why it's one of those. One in that THE11 series, one of those is a mistake because one of them says Foster and the other says Fosler. I guess you're right. I'm reading comments from Sri Larab. Sorry, I don't know why my computer just froze for a little bit. Okay, let's get back to the list here, if I can. Folks, of course, you can follow me at Just the Right Angle for more updates. I do have links to where you can donate. And one of the things I do need is a better computer. And you can actually hear it trying to conjure things in the background. And now my broadcast is frozen, so I don't know why. Of all the times, it just decided right now to just start hiccuping. So there's the list. There's the list of groups that there's the list of tax increase elections that are going on. You can see I'll post a link onto the Rumble page. Unfortunately, I can't go around posting it to every page, but if you go to Rumble, you'll be able to find this list via, or of course, Conduit News. It'll take you to the link to the Conduit News broadcast about this. So there is actually another tax increase that is not on this list that yours truly was just not able to find. But my wife found it last night and informed me, so I'm going to show them. I'll show the guy that's talking about this, and then I'll show some other groups. Well, I had it up here, and then Facebook kicked it off, so let me see if I can try and find it. It's Bradley County. They are having a tax increase election, also for November 18th. Now, this proposal is a tax rate. Proposed tax was raised by 1.625% regarding a sales tax. It's supposedly for a jail. Now explain why that's actually supposedly. It would make Hermitage tax goes to 12.125%, which would be the fourth highest in Arkansas. And then Warren's tax increase would be higher as well. Because, of course, when you raise the taxes in a county, every city that has a sales tax increase goes up as well, if that makes sense. This is Kenneth McDougall talking about this tax increase. Now, this guy's being informative, but he's telling people why you really should vote no. And if you look at the comments, you'll see most people are vehemently against it. A lot of these jails are now becoming 5-star hotels, thanks in part to the lawsuits from the ACLU. Make the jailers get loans like everybody else. Small town of 500 doesn't deserve to have a tax that high. Yeah, this is the thing that kills small towns. It also kills mom and pop stores because they can't afford this. And some people say, no, this is the difference between criminals walking the street or not. But as we see in Lonoke County, no, that's not the case. Usually when you have criminals walking the streets, it's because you have the justice system fails. But yeah, so no, it doesn't work. Raising taxes does not equal safety. It just doesn't. So here is some groups that are fighting these tax increases. They're small organizations that have gotten together and they're fighting against globalism in your backyard. And I've said this before, I'll say it many times. If you're sick of Bill Gates, if you're sick of hearing about Charles Schwab and the poison in our food and all that, you got to fight the fights in your own backyard first. You got to get rid of the George Soroses in your own backyard before you start thinking about fixing the state and the government shutdown. That's why I didn't talk about it, because there's not what can you really do about it? Not much, but there's a lot you can do with this, because a few votes in these millage tax races can make a difference. The Bryant School millage tax of a few years ago that I campaigned against, it was defeated by 8 votes. If I had not gotten involved in that, if a few other people had not made phone calls and knocked on doors, that thing would have passed. It was $117 million. Now, they came back. Then the Bryant School District did the same thing that all these other school districts did. They came back, I think, 2 years later, and they needed only $93 million in a tax increase. And they spent a lot more money on their campaign. Bradley Construction, those crooks that bankroll a lot of these tax increases, and especially in Central Arkansas, they managed to spend a lot more money. And the Saline County Tea Party that fought against that had kind of fallen away, and so it passed. And so a lot of these local groups are what makes the difference in terms of who wins the fight and for conservatism. And so this explains what is a millage rate. A mill is 1/1000th of a dollar applied to the assessed value of property. So you take a property taxes to assessed value divided by 1,000 times millage rate. A jump from, in this case, this is the Star City School District. A jump from 37 to 42 mills means a 5 mil increase, or $5 of tax per $1,000 assessed value. An effect on homeowner. So let's say your home is assessed at $200,000. A tax increase for this, in this case, would be $1,000 a year. Wait, tax increase, $200,000 divided by 1,000 times 5 equals $1,000 a year. Monthly impact, approximately $83 a month. $83 extra dollars a month. And that's not, and of course, $200,000 houses, that isn't actually that much. If your home is half that, man, it's still, let's say it's only $500 a year. So you can kind of divide this in half. It'd be 40 something extra dollars a month. there's internet plans that are less than that in some places. And of course, there's other things that affect it, homestead, other types of issues. Businesses are also hit by this. So a lot of these times when people will try to sell these millage tax increases, they'll say, oh, it's just a few pennies a day on your property. No, because it affects businesses. And businesses are, of course, let's say a business is $500,000, and that's probably lowballing businesses. That's $2,500, or they're paying extra $208 a month. So businesses will either have to raise prices, they'll have to fire or lay off some people or reduce the hours. They'll have to delay expansion. Of course, new businesses will be like, no, we're not going to go here. So yes, you're going to have a higher cost of living. It's going to hurt people that are on fixed incomes, which is a lot. As mentioned, this may discourage rent businesses, and your rent's going to increase. And the thing that's going to hurt the most is mom and pop stores. Again, your bigger chains will just pay for it. They don't care. But Concerned Citizens of Lincoln County is a group putting out information about this. This is another lady who's really been pushing, talking about this issue. It's actually via her husband, Kenneth Robertson. And actually, Ellen Robertson has a better detail about the tax increase itself. Again, these are just people that are, they're on their own. They're not able to rub elbows with the Chamber of Commerce or these other organizations that bankroll a lot of these stupid plans. She has another post that talks a lot more about this. And you can see here. And of course, she's on Facebook, so this isn't like I'm revealing any secrets. One of the many great ways to campaign against these tax increases is just by word of mouth. Also, you can call businesses and let them know that they're going to be hit with this. A lot of these business owners don't know. And the Star City will get 89% of the tax money plus the $5 million increase if it passes. And there's something else. Let me show you the ballot title of this. Because, and you'll see this because I saw this in another tax increase, group fighting tax increases, and they highlighted this, but this is on almost every one of these plans. So here's an example of the Star City School District, Lincoln County official ballot. This is the rate increase. It's going to put it up to 42 mils, which will be a $5 million increase. And it talks about the debt, the $6 million, which is going to be mature over 32 years. We're already, by the way, our country is around 38 trillion in debt. But I like to highlight this last section right here. The surplus revenues pursued this year by the debt service millage may be used by the district for other school purposes. So that's a slush fund. That means they'll be able to use that for whatever they want to use it for. And yeah, like I said, and the school districts have its slush funds. They had it when the Democrats were in charge. It's really, like I said, I think it's a political consultant dictatorship or a special interest political consultant dictatorship. And that's why we have these kind of problems. So let me see if I can bring up another group. Lee County is also having their massive school district election. And this is their Facebook page. So if you're in Lee County, another Thomas Sowell quote, William McLean is the guy who is leading the fight in that effort. And this is the discussion actually he talked about here. So there was a town hall. They actually don't have that many town halls. And if they do, they're at a time when most people can't attend them. And yes, I raised my hand if any of those things. So last year, I briefly spoke with Willie Murdoch after the Millage Town Hall. In that town hall, those wanting a new school promised a resurgence to Mariana, new industry, new teachers, new people moving here, and opening new businesses. I raised my hand and asked if any of these things that happened in Helena were a similar millage passed in 2017. The reply was a stammered out, attendance is up. She knew that none of these things that happened in Helena, although those same promises were made. And I'm not going to read the rest of it. You can kind of read it yourself. But yeah, it does exact opposite. Businesses, when they go look, the first thing they look for is the dollar signs. And if it is too expensive, they go somewhere else. And so if you're in Lee County, you see this broadcast later on, they have their own yard signs. Monroe County, which I think has another tax increase. Our taxes this year are ridiculous. Let's see if Monroe County has a tax increase. I thought they were one of the ones that were on the list. Marion. My apologies. But you get the gist. Only a few people can make the difference. So this is I think Lee County or Lee County School District. And so if you're in that area, if you know anybody in that area, let them know this is going on. Cleveland County, I could not find their Facebook page. I did find an example of their flyers. This is a group sponsored by overtaxed citizens, parents, and grandparents of Cleveland County. So if you know their website, let me know. Now, this is by a bunch of people who hate it. They are pro-tax. And it's always for the children every time they try to push these stupid tax increases. And these people, of course, give the little childish insults. And yes, this is Cleveland County, Arkansas. I verified these where these people are. That's where this is. So I don't know who this group is. I was not able to find them on Facebook, but there is their flyer. If you're in Cleveland County, that's Rising area. Hunt those people down and try to find a way to help them. If you can't help them by contacting businesses or passing out flyers or holding a sign, you can donate money to them. Okay. I don't know if there's a group fighting the one in Bradley County. I looked for one in Marion County, and I think I mixed it with, because I don't know if it's Marion or, yeah, it is Marion County. This is a group. It's Flippin, Arkansas, Bull Shoals area. I know people that are in there. Sorry, folks, at Nat just group. You might be tired of hearing this. I have folks, a group of voters who knew nothing about the upcoming election. Of course, it's by design. That's when you know you're being scammed. Is when they schedule at a time when they know most people won't be voting. That's why they do that. If it was a good idea, it would have been a good idea in last November or in upcoming March primary. Now, there is a person fighting against the Conway tax increase. Is Nick Horton. He is doing this on his own post, and this is one post here. And so this is, he's been posting about the Conway tax increase. Well, he has some other stuff. He just posted a new strategy group. He has a group called Opportunity Arkansas. And for some reason, I can't seem to find much about the tax increase on that page. I mean, you can see here we're one of the higher tax bracket just regarding the sales tax. And again, that doesn't include the other taxes that we have here. Conway is one of the highest tax cities in the state, and Arkansas is one of the highest tax states in the entire country. Arkansas is the third highest overall tax burden in America when you add up all the other taxes. It'll be higher than Little Rock. If 10% is good enough for God, it should be good. Ray Stevens, I think, said that. If 10% is good enough for Jesus, it should be good enough for Uncle Sam. And I wish his group Opportunity Arkansas would have fought harder to fight for conservatism within the Republican Party and not cave when the consultant class nullified the last convention and the convention before last. Here is his political organization, Opportunity Arkansas. Again, I see a lot of rewards and a lot of quotes, education, freedom. And that's all really good. I don't see that much about the tax increases that are going on. I mean, you have a political organization, Mr. Horton. I wish you'd use it to fight these things. Now, there's a group called Americans for Prosperity, and they are at least backing a fight against one tax increase, and that's the one in Sherwood that I mentioned earlier. And I have a gnat just laying on my nose. They're urging people to vote no. SherwoodTruth.com. $91 million in bonds. This is a guy, of course, I've played this video before. The impact on you. And it'll have some other numbers, so key facts, get involved. So if you want to get involved, and again, this is done by the group Americans for Prosperity is the group pushing for this. You can request a yard sign, tell your story, stay informed. If you want to sign up to help in that fight, get involved, contact SherwoodTaxTruth.com. And again, your involvement could make the difference, as we've seen before. A few votes can make the difference. I wish I had those results on the Bryant millage tax. Let me see if I could find them. And I've been fighting against these tax increases for years. I defeated one in North Little Rock. I defeated another one in Pulaski County. So this was in 2015. If I can get rid of, I don't know why that came up. Sorry, folks. These TV news websites just have all kinds of pop-ups. So yeah, this was Tuesday 10th, March 18th. Tuesday, March 10th, 2015. Again, this was a special election tax increase when they tried to sneak it past voters. This was the one I managed the campaign against. And it was defeated by 8 votes. Superintendent. Millage increase again. So they had tried it before. Let me see if it says when they tried it beforehand. No doubt, blah, blah, blah. And what did they do? They pushed in 2017 was when they did the other tax. They did it again, and this time they passed. And that's pretty much, and a lot of times that's all these school districts know how to do is just push for tax increases over and over and over again. In some places, they've had tax increases in the, oh my goodness, I think in Sheridan, I think they had in the span of 4 years, 3 tax increase elections. And that's all they know how to do. Let me see if this one has when they try to push it the last time. Again, you got to close ad. You got to close all the videos. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. And they did a recount that triggered a recount automatically. But yeah, I was actually at the state capitol. I was actually standing to then Mark Lowry, who has since passed away. He had won his primary, I think, by 9 votes. And I just happened to be next to him when I got the official news of the recount. But I wish it had said the last time they had tried this millage tax increase. I guess they don't want to talk about that because, that, as I said before, a lot of these local governments, that's all they know how to do. And so it's an absolute shame. And quite frankly, if that's all they're going to do, you should talk about just disbanding your local government. I mean, why have them? There's no point. Well, folks, I have some other stuff to take care of. I started this broadcast a little bit late. I got a lot of other things to do. I am going to work on, I'm going to send out to some folks I know who are campaigning against tax increases, kind of a way to help get involved. I've worked on some material that folks can hand out to others and get some ways to help train a few people to basically do some campaigning against these things across the state. It's not something, it's not real fancy. It's just sort of simple. Look up businesses, do a basic phone script, call them, and have them join the fight. Folks, if you know of another tax increase that's going on that I've missed, there's 13 going on. But if you know of one and say, hey, you missed us, please let me know. You can follow me at Just the Right Angle. Email me at justrightAngle@yahoo.com. Message me on Rumble. My information is available that way. Hope you are having a wonderful day. Remember, when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people groan. Find a way to get involved. And other than that, you have a good day.